Welcome back, everybody. Great Axios here with Lord Gandhi and Regan from the Curate Marketplace, here to record another episode of LiliPod. We are welcoming Regan here today. He is a jack of all trades representative from the world's first ever NFT Marketplace app. He does a little bit of biz dev, a little bit of marketing, and from a source that will not be named, we've heard he's pretty good at creating TikToks. Welcome to LiliPod, Regan. We're very happy to have you.
Thanks so much. I am super pumped to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we're just going to ask you a couple questions, kind of get to know Curate a little bit more in depth, hopefully get to know your role a little bit more as well. And obviously, as always, we just want to try to show off and bring more light into why the Curate Marketplace can be and is such a big part of the Web3 community. So to start it off, let's hear from yourself. What is Curate?
Sure. Yeah. So Curate is a cross-chain gasless NFT marketplace, and we're also carbon neutral. We are, as you said, the first NFT marketplace for a mobile app on iOS and Android, and we also do have a desktop marketplace also. But yeah, right now the mobile app is a pretty big part of what we do, and we've got about 100,000 users, 125,000 I think right now. Last time I checked, could be a little bit higher.
That's really awesome. And before we kind of move on, I just want to hear, if we can, why mobile? If you have that answer, we'd love to just delve real quick into why Curate focused on mobile as opposed to the rest of the NFT marketplaces.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of reasons. One is that, and this isn't to say that we aren't developing and don't have an NFT marketplace on desktop. We definitely do. We're doing a huge update this month. We'll talk about that later. But mobile was the first thing we wanted to do, just because most people worldwide have at least access to a phone, even if they don't have access to, the CPU, right? So part of what we do in terms of being gasless is that we do want to be as available to as many people in the world as possible, and be as accessible as possible. And so we really felt that the mobile app was the way to go to make things very simple and intuitive for people, easy to find, easy to download, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Definitely respect that answer. I think Lord Gandhi and I have found ourselves in a very similar mindset during the building of our product. So absolutely respect that very much. That being said, I'm not going to name any names here because in this space, we're all about collaboration and support. But why should individuals, namely consumers, choose Curate over competitors?
Yeah, so that's always a good question. I mean, I think that, you know, to be perfectly honest about it, I think that most people probably belong to at least one or two marketplaces, not just one. So, I mean, ideally, we would be a part of, a consumer's, basket of marketplaces that they want to access. I'd say for us, the fact that we're gasless is really huge, and it's also free to mint. So for a lot of people get more access to the space because of that. There's fewer barriers and impediments. That's a big reason. Also, if you're say looking at us comparing us to say some larger platforms out there, it kind of comes down to one of those. Do you want to be a big fish in a small pond, or a small fish in a great sea, right? It's pretty easy, or not pretty easy. It's easier to be noticed in the community, to make a bigger splash, given that it's a little bit smaller. And so, some smaller artists might be able to sell out their collections in ways that might be more difficult or challenging on bigger platforms. So those are a couple of reasons right there. Also, We're very, very active as a team, right up to our CEO and founder, James Hakeem, on Telegram and Twitter. And it's very easy to access the executive members of our team as well. So, having direct input is much easier, and it's easier to feel and be more involved with our project as well.
Awesome. So once again, we're not gonna take a hit at anybody else because we always are working to be supportive of other projects in the space, and we respect the success that many of the larger fish have had. But I think there's something to be said about you can communicate with the founders, the owners, the backers of the project, and that you can have your voice heard right away. I think it speaks a lot more to maybe what we've kind of come to consider to be a quote unquote Web3 or decentralized project, as opposed to an old school, centralized business entity, just because you as a consumer can be more involved, right? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it is. I mean, on the one hand, we are fairly centralized. That being said, we are taking steps to become more decentralized as time goes on. So we're going to be implementing governance and things like that. But yeah, in terms of the culture and the feel of the company, it is one where it does feel much more conversational. It does feel like, you can get the ear of the higher ups. And that's a good thing. And we do really try very hard to maintain as much free speech as possible when it comes to our different social media sites. We do our absolute best to, if someone has an issue with us, we don't just block or delete comments as much as we can. We always try to keep engaging with people, no matter what's being said. And that's part of that the spirit of it, where we never want to stifle people. We don't want to stifle perspectives, as long as people aren't going overboard. We do really adhere to those types of values, in terms of free speech. And I think that as much, at least to me, that as much as decentralization is a part of Web3, or that's what we're trying to build into the fabric of Web3, I think, as a collective here, right?
Absolutely. I am in 100% total agreement there. And Lord Gandhi can probably back me up here. That is always one of my first goals when we're working with the community is you can say whatever you want. You can bash me, you can bash the project, you can bash anything you want. You just can't bash other people. You can't be disrespectful. Nothing negative toward another individual. If you want to take it on the project, that's your right. But I think the fact that you guys are cultivating a culture, similar to us, and you have those same outputs and those same outlooks, is something to be admired. It's just not something that we see as often as I think we'd like to.
Oh, for sure. And it can be tough, honestly, right? I mean, because since we do make decisions, and the decisions we make are always, about the longevity of our project and trying to be as successful as we can be. Of course, not everyone's going to love everything that you do, and you can really see how it would be easy to try to just say, okay, well, we just, if how a person's first instinct might be to try to shut down dissent, right? I think it's a natural instinct that people might have, but we really push against that instinct, and we do try to keep things as open as possible, as much as we can, because yeah, it is very important. And I think that I don't want to speak for everyone on our team, but I feel like most people on our team, when they look at, say, free speech worldwide and issues of censorship, it is a bit concerning. And so we want to be, leading by example in what we think is the right direction, not the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And I think that itself, obviously, we're getting a little bit philosophical here, which is completely fine. I have absolutely no issues with it. But just to keep on the train of thought of what is Curate, how do those types of culture pieces impact and potentially even incentivize projects, specifically NFT projects, to launch and drop with Curate, as opposed to maybe somebody else?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we do is that we've set up a launch pad for artists, and typically these are for sort of larger collections or for collections that might have already been a little bit established or sort of building up some steam, on their own. But what we do though is that for collections that come onto our launch pad that we earmark as, hey, this is a good one that we want to really push, is that we have a comprehensive marketing strategy and campaigns that we do. So we have one guy, Sam, does all of the sort of the web campaigns with giveaways and trying to generate traffic, word of mouth that way. We do push our new artists, even our old ones, but our new projects, we push them on our socials. So on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, we do as many videos and posts as we can. We also try to include them in our weekly roundup on Twitter and our web blog for the weekly events. And then also to coordinate with them so that we don't have a lot of projects all dropping simultaneously, that we can try to have some of these bigger projects get launched throughout the month, right? So that way the most amount of eyes as possible can be on them. And then, yeah, speaking to the culture bits, of course, with that, we always really try to highlight, the personality or the human side behind each project as well as best we can. So that's where we're coming from when it comes to culture and NFTs and projects and launching on Curate.
Awesome. That's I really like that. I think it's not something I've really heard before from an NFT marketplace, so I think it's pretty cool. I feel like that's something. Obviously, the branding, the pushing, right? That's all pretty standard. But just the highlight on the team and the culture fit, I think that's something pretty unique that is just very great in this space. Let's flip real quick back to the consumer side, just because I'm curious to know. We discussed how there's a lot of culture and trying to cultivate that culture from the consumer standpoint in order to make people feel comfortable using the platform and allow them to have another option, as you put it in their basket, to interact with the space. Are there any unique slash innovative features for users coming to Curate for the first time outside of the gasless um, feature that kind of draws people in right now in a way that maybe some other people can't?
Oh, for sure. So one of the things that's coming up here is that we are doing a massive relaunch and update to our desktop marketplace at the end of this month. And then from there, we're also launching basically a general marketplace as well. So eventually, we want to sort of be the eBay for crypto in a sense, where people can buy physical goods from users and being flexible to use crypto or fiat. Um, and so that's going to be a major push as well that's happening this summer. And then the phase two of that is what I am super pumped about, and I this can't happen soon enough. I'm so excited for it. Is that phase two? We're going to be launching an NFT to merchandise option. So basically, community and creators can print NFTs onto physical goods like clothing, onto canvas to put on their walls, mugs, and those sorts of things. And that's also going to be integrated in app as well. So it's trying to really merge the physical world with the digital world and give our users, be them creators or collectors, the freedom to move between those two.
I'm speechless.
I, I'm curious. Are you guys? Do you guys have any plans for audio?
Yes, so that's also big on my list. I, personally, I've always been much better at music than I am at physical visual art. So music is a big passion of mine, and we are going towards, uh, you know, music NFTs and those types of things probably later this year. I'm hoping Q4. I don't want to make any promises here right now, but yeah, we definitely are moving to be as integrated in the NFT space as possible. And that includes gaming, that includes the metaverse, that includes audio. So that's 100% a direction that we do very much want to be going into.
I love to hear that. I mean, you guys already have a foot up with the gasless feature. And I'm just kind of excited that you guys are still pushing for innovation in different areas. Um,
Yeah.
it would be very easy. Imagine working at Curate or founding it to say, hey, we already have the gas list. Let's just try to grab as many people as possible with this feature. But I love that you guys are still innovating.
Oh yeah, always trying to. I mean, it's that is a conversation we have almost daily with our community because there certainly are people who do think like that who say why not just really push the one or two major strengths and do that and be happy with it. But I mean, for us, especially in Web3, things are just moving at such a huge pace that I think that if you're not trying to consistently be upgrading your product, if you're not looking to the future, if you're not trying to jump on trends but also lead them, you'll get left behind really quickly, I think. And so that's a big part of what drives us is trying to stay on top of trends and ahead of them as they're going on. That way we'll continue to be relevant and continue to grow.
Awesome. That's just Lord Gandhi kind of cut me off a little bit, but as I mentioned, I am I was almost speechless. I was speechless after the first kind of input on the new features, and then after that follow up there, I almost don't even know where to go because I mean, Lord Gandhi said it pretty well with the innovation piece, but the scope of what you guys are shooting for, obviously it's attainable because it's not anything that we think should be impossible. But that being said, the scope of it is so strong that we know it can bring a whole new group of people and potentially a whole new avenue into Web3 and back out of Web3 for people. And I think that's just, like I said, I'm pretty speechless from that. It's really cool to hear.
Awesome. No, I love
I've
that.
got
Thank you.
a I've got a couple of questions for you. So, with all this innovation going on, um, I'm sure like pushing those features will bring new people into the space. Is there anything you guys are doing on like the media side, media communication, marketing side, um, to focus on people that aren't already in the NFT space? Or is your main focus people that have already bought or sold or minted an NFT already?
Yeah, so we do have a couple things for that. Oh, and before I get to this, I also want to say that I haven't even mentioned that we are developing a play to earn game as well with an American gaming company called Workin' Man. They've been wonderful working with them, and they have produced games for like Disney and Nickelodeon and things. They're a AAA gaming studio. And
Awesome.
so we're also doing that, and that's part of the basket of of things that we're trying to do to keep pushing forward and keep innovating. And I think that offering more, NFT games and ability to trade NFTs from gaming through our platform is also something that we're kind of hitting on a little bit as well. But back to what you were saying in terms of marketing, yeah, we have a couple different prongs in terms of how we are trying to market. So on the one hand, we do try to market ourselves to people who um, might be a little bit disaffected when it comes to say other NFT marketplaces, and they're maybe looking to switch it up. Right? Maybe they don't appreciate gas fees or some part of the experience, and so we want to say, "Hey, check us out. Come just take a look. It's free to download the app. See what it is." So that's definitely part of it. But a big part of what we do is trying to simplify things and make crypto and NFTs simple. And so that's why our user interface is very simple. It's easy to download. And so with that, we have had marketing campaigns through even targeted Facebook ads. We're currently in talks with a professional soccer or football team in the UK to be their official NFT sponsor. And so that type of project in terms of the marketing side is certainly targeted to people who aren't necessarily in the NFT space at all. So there's that. There's the Facebook thing, and then of course outreaching through TikTok, Instagram as well. That's sort of how we try to hit as many different types of people as possible with different campaigns.
Amazing. You guys are hitting like all fronts at the same time and doing it wonderfully. Um, I'm very impressed from like a from a side of knowing what it takes to run a company um, and get a project off the ground. You guys are really hitting your stride. It seems like right now. Um, that being said, is there anything that MyLilius can do, other projects in the space, or even just consumers can do to support outside of just using Curate?
Yeah, I mean, downloading the app and giving us a good review is probably the most direct way to help some metrics. But I mean, we truly love integrating with different partners and good projects that we believe in. So, for instance, like the NFT hub, I think is a really cool idea where we can have a loose affiliation of NFT marketplaces that can work together to an extent. So I think that we're very much open to interesting collaborations that might not be your traditional types of collabs, if you know what I mean. And we're also open to ideas, from people in general. So if someone looks at our project and says, "Hey, you guys are doing good, but I think this might, tweak these things might be better," we're always looking, for that. And then, of course, as I mentioned, partnering with good projects. We're all about that and trying to grow together. It sort of comes back to that feast or famine mentality, right? And if you look at the space and think, oh, there's only a finite amount of resources that we're all fighting for, you're going to start clawing your way to the bottom of a barrel. But if you look at things and say, hey, this is an expanding space, there's going to be room for different people and projects. We want to make as many friends here and partnerships as possible, and let's grow together. That's really what we're trying to do. So if anyone thinks that they can grow with us or want to be a part of it, always say hi. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. I definitely think, well, I hope there's others that will do so, because I think collaboration in the space is what can ultimately bring us into the mainstream. I think that's one of the keys, in my opinion. But additionally, obviously, we've heard a lot about um, Curate and Calypso and MyLilius and Calypso and others in Calypso. So we're very excited to be working with Curate more on that front. And with the very soon upcoming launch of the MyLilius wallet, we are looking forward to integrating hopefully more Curate features directly there as well, if it's in the cards between the two projects.
Wonderful.
That is all of my questions. I believe Lord Gandhi is fresh out of them as well. Thank you very much for joining us today, Regan. Always a pleasure to have amazing individuals on like yourself. Once Curate goes ahead and launches V1, V2, V3, I don't even know how many projects you guys have going on. We're definitely gonna have to get you back on here. Maybe some other team members as well, and just follow up with the community on all the amazing stuff on the way.
Yeah, please. It'd be an absolute blast to come back, and I'll for sure be able to get some more teammates on here too.
Awesome. Thank you for listening, and this is the wrap up for another episode of LiliPod. Cut.